revenue in the oil and gas sector through investment is our next focus. We see for the first quarter of this year, inflows stood at $460,000, mostly foreign capital. But that's a good one compared to a quarter last year, almost 300% higher than what we had, because then we had 120,000 recorded in the first quarter of 2025, which was less than 1% of the country's total of 10.37 billion in the first quarter inflows. And of course, it was heavily dominated by portfolio investments, which we know can leave at any time through the money market. Full year 2025, we saw the sector recorded $17.98 million in capital inflows for the entire year. This was a notable tripling from the historic low of 5.12% in 2024, but it underscores the actual liquid foreign direct investment into the sector that remains constrained. However, when you look at the potential, it's placed at about $22 billion. What are we missing out in our petroleum sector, attracting the right capital, foreign versus domestic? Let's speak this morning with the Managing Director of Policy Management Consult Services, Mr. Jide Olatuyi. Mr. Olatuyi joins us from our Abuja studio. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you. So when you see these numbers of investment attracted to our petroleum sector, are you happy? Have we done enough? But when we look at the comparison, we see that we've had positive trajectory. So can we relax? Are we good?
Okay. Yes. So it's both ways. If we say, can we relax, or are we good? No. I can't say as far as oil and gas sector is concerned that we're good. Because when you look at the overall investment portfolio, overall investment, foreign direct investment in Nigeria, the portfolio is as huge as almost $10 billion. Yeah. So when you look at diaspora remittances, that is a bit even higher than that. So yes, the economy may be responding generally to some of the few reforms that the current government has been able to put in place. But you see that when you look at it holistically, we have the non-oil sector performing more than the oil and gas sector. So that's why you have, out of almost $10 billion that is coming in the first quarter of 2026, you have only $460,000. And that 400, like you rightly said, it's a little bit on the high side. It's simply because of the war in the Arabian countries. So we have that increase is coming. But you see the investors, as far as they are concerned in the oil and gas sector, they are witnessing what we might call, some sort of caution as far as that sector is concerned. So you see that 460 comparing to the over $10 billion that the non-oil sector has been able to get for Nigeria in terms of foreign direct investment. So we're not good enough yet, but I think it's also an indication for government to look at its governance mechanisms, its trust mechanism, the confidence that people should build in the oil and gas sector to be able to accrue or take more money or more revenues, from the oil and gas sector. So $460,000 is not. It might improve, marginally, but we are not there yet in terms of its major. When you compare it with the total volume of foreign direct investment or total volume of revenue that government is getting from outside this country, is very, very insignificant. So there is more for government to do in that sector.
Yeah, and news around town talks about the bidding process for the Amukpe-Escravos pipeline, that also shows or is a fruit of one of the lack of confidence, because there was previously a bid for about 40% stake in the pipeline, and now we're hearing something else. What's the latest about that? And what really are some of the concerns that investors have?
Okay, so like you rightly said, there's a bid for 40% stake as far as that the Amukpe-Escravos pipeline is concerned, 40% in 2024. So it's for valued at 243 million US dollars, if I'm correct. But unfortunately, that contract bid, the proposals, failed. It failed woefully. They couldn't continue with it. So
do we have reasons why it failed?
The government.
Do we have reasons why it failed? The reason for the failure?
Yeah, one of the key reasons why they said it failed was the inability to meet the contractual terms for the project. So it failed, and that contract was eventually terminated. Now, there is a new bidding process that is now being revived, and being revived to more like resuscitate that 243 million US dollars that was the initial valuation of that project. That was 243 million US dollars in 2024. There's a new valuation that was conducted in 2025 of that same project, and it's run almost to close to 642 million US dollars. So you see that there's a lot of, what we call the valuation gap.
So is this,
in the process, trying to revive a dead,
So what are the concerns?
Yeah.
What are the concerns of investors? Because we've seen a lot of move by the government when it comes to pipelines. The AKK is almost done, and we're having a new rhythm when it comes to the use of pipeline infrastructure in the oil and gas sector. So what are the concerns of investors in this, and what are some of the consequences if this doesn't go through?
Well, their major concern is simple. Look, the contract as far as that pipeline project, the Amukpe-Escravos project, pipeline project is concerned, is already done deal, is terminated. It's due. I mean, they're saying that there is a need for a new process, competitive bidding process to commence, instead of resuscitating a dead contract. What they are saying, the lenders are saying, like Sterling Bank, Amcon, and the other, other lenders that is interested in this project, they're saying that there is no need to revive a dead contract. Let's start a new competitive process that will take into cognizance the new valuation of that project from 243 million US dollars to almost $641 million. So that you can now have a new valuation, a new competitive bidding based on the 2025 updated valuation, price value.
Mr. Lati, do I hear concerns about perhaps sentiments being attached to this bidding and resuscitation or new bidding? Is this one of the concerns of investors, that perhaps there's some sentiments being attached to the decision to resuscitate the old bidding process?
No, I don't think it's about sentiment at all. It's not even about the business transaction, as you say, a failed business transaction. I think basically it's about the governance system, in the oil and gas system. Just like we were trying to say earlier, that Nigeria received very minimum level of income or revenue from oil and gas overall as at Q1 2026 because of lack of governance, poor governance. Because if you are not committed to transparency, it's a problem for investors. If you cannot build trust and confidence in that sector, it's a problem. Capital flows to where certainty and predictability is. People who cannot, have confidence in the system or the governance mechanism as far as oil and gas sector is concerned in Nigeria, cannot come and maybe invest, or contribute to the oil and gas sector as far as we have it here. So it's more of a governance issue. How do we have trust in the process? How do we start a new process that is competitive? How do we have confidence in the contractual, validity of the contract terms that was, terminated, and a new one that is upcoming? How do we make the process open, transparent, and competitive? How do you maintain trust and confidence?
Yeah, looks like we have a technical glitch right there. All right, Mr. Ola. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Latuya. I lost you for a bit.
Yeah, I was saying that, for example, if you look at some other countries that also countries, is there, Saudi Arabia, you also countries that have oil like the UK, they have more patronage.
All right, I think that's all right. Unfortunately, I do not think we'll be able to take Mr. Latuyi. But I mean, issue of governance and trust. If we want to attract investors, obviously, the investment climate has to be predictable, has to be certain, and not changes that investors cannot predict. And that's obviously, so even though we are making we have attracted $460,000 to the oil and gas sector, the potential is $20 billion. So you can imagine what we are missing, and we do hope that, things can be put right to give investors, both domestic and foreign, the confidence to come to the oil and gas sector. Thank you so much, Mr. Jide Olatuyi, Managing Director, Policy Management Consult Services, for your time and your views on the program.